We are about a month away from Victor Wembanyama making his NBA debut. One of the most hyped and anticipated debuts in sports history, and rightfully so, because he's a special prospect. One of the best I've ever evaluated. Now, you might be wondering why I said one of the best and not the best. Well, that's because I can't definitively say he's the best prospect I've ever evaluated, even if he is a special prospect. Because Luka Doncic was just as special of a prospect in my eyes, to the point that they're basically 1A and 1B for me. And I want to talk about why it's so close between those two, despite the fact that they are very different prospects. But quickly, before we go any further, if you're new and like basketball, I'd really appreciate it if you would like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to be notified whenever I release a video. I make videos about basketball all the time, and liking and subscribing are the two best ways can help me out in the YouTube algorithm and help me reach my goal of 10,000 subscribers by the end of the 2024 NBA season. Let's try and get 100 likes on this video so YouTube will recommend it to others. Anyways, let's talk about the difference between Luka Doncic and Victor Wembanyama. Victor and Luka were both overseas prospects that didn't play in college. Both are generational talents, but that's where the similarities end, because they are very different prospects. Luka was a part of the Real Madrid program since 2015, and he was able to play in the EuroLeague, which is the second best basketball league in the world, and he did things at a young age that were unheard of. He's the youngest player to debut for Real Madrid in ACB, and the third youngest in league history. He set the record for highest player index rating in a single game by a player under the age of 17 years old. And then he became the youngest player to ever win EuroLeague MVP at 18 years old. I can't understate how absurd that is. Luka was clearly a generational talent. He was more skilled than any other teenager ever. His feel for the game as a prospect is rivaled only by what LeBron did as a prospect in terms of teenage draft prospects. He had legit All-NBA type traits at 16 to 17 years old on tape, which I can't say about any other prospect, past, present, or future, other than LeBron. Luka wasn't the most athletic, but he was strong and physical, plus his skill and feel for the game were off the charts. It was clear to anyone with common sense that he was a generational talent. He dominated the second best league in the world as a teenager. His skill and feel were well beyond his years. He did things that even some NBA stars could only dream of, and he wasn't even draft eligible yet. I still can't believe he wasn't the consensus first overall pick in that draft, because not only does it look bad in hindsight that he went third overall, it looked bad at the time that he went third overall. And Luka has proven he's a generational talent since entering the NBA. He was borderline all-star good as a rookie, and he's quickly rose to NBA stardom. He's been named to the All-NBA first team for 4 straight seasons now. He's put up numbers that are only rivaled by Hall of Fame talents like Jordan and LeBron. He's one of the 7 best players in the world right now, and he's been at the very least a top 10 player in the world since year 2 in the NBA, and that's really rare. But at the same time, if you had common sense and you watched his tape as a prospect, this is something you should have been able to see coming. Victor was a bit different of a prospect. Victor played in pro leagues, but not like the one Luka did. It was still good competition, but not second best league in the world competition for the most part. Victor was also more raw as a prospect. He was viewed as generational for good reason, but he wasn't as polished as Luka was as a prospect. his final pro year prior to the NBA, he showed a lot of production due to the freedom he got. But again, he wasn't facing as good of comp as Luka was prior to the NBA. With Victor, it was more about the physical traits and intangibles with the upside in terms of skill and feel. He had good feel, he has good skill, but it's the physical gifts that give him such a high ceiling. He's a better defensive prospect than Luka was. I would say he's a higher ceiling prospect as well, which really says something because Luka had an MVP type ceiling as a prospect in his own right. I would even go as far to say Victor is the highest ceiling prospect I've ever personally evaluated, and maybe the highest ceiling prospect the sport of basketball has ever seen. And he is worth the hype as a prospect. But I don't know if he's going to adjust to the NBA as quickly as Luka did. I feel like there will be more growing pains. I don't think he's going to reach All-NBA first team status by year 2. I think eventually he could very well get there, but if he does, it's not going to be as quickly as it was with Luka. He's going to have to adjust to the physicality of the NBA in a way that Luka didn't. And while Victor is skilled and has good feel for the game, his skill and feel aren't on the level of Luka's when Luka was a prospect. But I think Victor has an even higher ceiling because I think he has a chance to truly be the most dominant player in the world. And I can't even say that about Luka, even with how great he is. Luka Doncic and Victor Wembanyama are both generational talents. Both were clearly special prospects, but they clearly are different. With Luka Doncic, it was about how far along his game was and how advanced he was at such a young age, which led to projections of early stardom and an easier transition to the NBA, which he's proven right. In fact, I would go as far to say, compared to the rest of the NBA, not only now, but ever, he has had one of the quickest rises we have ever seen to superstardom. The list of guys that have similar rises to the levels he's reached is a list of guys that are either in the Hall of Fame or will be in the Hall of Fame very soon. And the thing is, I'm not saying that Luka has hit its ceiling because he's still really young and can still get better, but he rose to what the high-end projections were rather quickly. But it's different with Victor. Victor, it's about the physical tools, 7'5", 8-foot wingspan, the athleticism, legit moves like a wing, has unreal fluidity, lateral movement, and body control for somebody that's tall, which is really unheard of because we haven't seen anything like it, as well as the upside. He's not super raw. I'm not saying that he's a project. I'm not saying that there needs to be a lot of work and he needs to spend a lot of time in the G League. I'm not saying that at all. He wouldn't have gotten first overall if that was the case. And I believe he's generational for a reason because he has shown substance. But I also think he will take more time to adjust because of the fact that he's not as far along in the skill department as a guy like Luka, and because of that, the transition may not be as quick as it was with Luka. But at the same time, he has even more upside than Luka. It's really a debate between the upside with the tools and the traits versus the substance with the tools and the traits. I came to the conclusion that both of them are generational, but the evaluation to get to that conclusion was very different. Again, Luka had all NBA traits in terms of skill and feel before he even turned 18 years old. Victor has rare traits in terms of freakish physical tools and athleticism that are truly like nothing we have ever seen. And it goes beyond that because they are the inverse of each other in general as prospects. Luka had a good frame and good strength, but he wasn't a freak athlete. Victor has good skill and feel for the game, but it's not all NBA well beyond his year's levels of skill and feel for the game the way it was with Luka. Both were unreal prospects. Prospects that I don't know if I'll ever see one that's on their level again. That's how special they were. They're tied for first among guys I've evaluated for a reason, because they both were guys that I looked at as prospects and said, they have a chance to really dominate in the NBA and dominate in ways that I don't think the league is ready for. But they both are different, and I think once we see the start of Victor's NBA career and we're able to compare it to the start of Luka's NBA career and then compare the two when they're in their primes, those differences will be very clear. But that's the end of this video. If you made it to this point, thank you so much. Again, haven't already, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, I'm notified whenever I release a video. I make videos about basketball all the time, and liking and subscribing are the two best ways you can help me out in the YouTube algorithm and help me reach my goal of 10,000 subscribers by the end of the 2024 NBA season. Let's try and get 100 likes on this video so YouTube will recommend it to others. Let me know what you think about Victor Wembanyama. What do you think about Luka Doncic? Who do you think was the better prospect? We'll go through all that in the comment section below. But with that being said, have a nice day, and I'll see you guys in the next one.